Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dynamics of a Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to Professor Moriarty, Napoleon of Crime, and archnemesis of Sherlock Holmes. I'm still wanting to get those mixed up. Is that ever going to stop? We don't know. I'm Madeline Quiñones, and I am joined by my wonderful and very patient co-host,
Dixie Parkinson.
And it is the day after BSI weekend, currently 2023. It is January 9th as we record this. And that is what this episode is all about. It is a BSI birthday weekend recap. So another recap episode. Is Moriarty going to come up? Is there a reason for him to come up? Don't know, but we are still a Moriarty podcast, I promise. And we do actually have some exciting things coming up. So, just stay tuned for that, please. But this was my first BSI weekend, and I really wanted to share about that with y'all. And sort of, I haven't had much chance to write anything yet, and I'm trying to get out my thoughts. Things are already blurring, and I am trying to get things out of my head before I lose them. But I will also try to do a write-up at some point, so it is entirely possible that I will, think of something that, like, my blog post will have details that I'm forgetting in this podcast. So stay tuned for that. I mean, that's pretty much a guarantee, right? Also photos. The blog post will have photos. Speaking of visuals, you might notice if you're watching on YouTube that this is still a video podcast.
Yeah.
Because for this episode, I have so much show and tell to do. It just did not seem right to just go audio only.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I am decked out today. I picked up some lapel pins this weekend. So my Legion of Zoom pin, ACD Society, Literary Agents, which are all fun. And then you've probably seen me wear this complete Sherlock Holmes necklace before, but now I actually have earrings to match. This is the cover of A Study in Scarlet, courtesy of Regina Stinson, who does a lot of really amazing Sherlockian jewelry. Joanna Draper Carlson pointed out that the spiderweb earrings would be perfect for me, and I was like, yes, but here's the problem. I hate spiders.
I would love those. I love spiders.
So we'll get them for Dixie is what we'll do.
The only issues I don't have is ears. So.
We will commission. Clip-on earrings for you. There you go. There's always, where there's a will, there's a way. So this is still visual on YouTube, but also we now have theme music.
Yeah.
Courtesy of the wonderful Josh Harvey, who is still going to show up on the show at some point. Yeah. I need to remember to ask him again when his least busy month coming up is. there's so much stuff that we've got to schedule.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I haven't even touched the Daniel Davis thing yet. Like, we need him on the show, but I still haven't even had the chance to.
Yeah.
It's been a busy past couple of months, y'all. There's been trips and there's been Christmas and lots of things. Lots of things. So, okay. BSI birthday weekend. If there's anybody watching or listening who does not know what that is, a long time ago it was decided that January 6th, which is also 12th night, celebrated in some denominations of Christianity as the 12th day of Christmas. January 6th is Sherlock Holmes's birthday by tradition. We don't actually know when he was born.
Yeah.
But it's like a holiday. So long time ago, the Baker Street Irregulars in New York decided to have their annual dinner meeting on January 6th. Their first one was not on January 6th. It was actually in December. And then eventually they settled on the January 6th date. And this year was the dinner actually happened on January 6th. That doesn't always happen. They have been alternating for a while now with the Sherlock Holmes Society of London as to when they celebrate Holmes's birthday. So last year, Society of London got the earlier weekend, and this year BSI got the earlier weekend. So that flip-flops, and then January 6th doesn't always land on a Friday, but which is when the dinner is held. It's always held on the Friday night of the weekend. So that was very cool. I wasn't, invited to the dinner, but I appreciated the coming together of those factors. And this turned out to be kind of a historic birthday weekend dinner night specifically because Steve Rothman, the editor of the Baker Street Journal for over 20 years now, which I think that makes him one of the longer serving editors of the journal. He is stepping down. He's becoming editor emeritus, which I'm curious as to how exactly that works. But he's stepping down from editorship, and Dan Andriacco from Ohio is becoming the new editor of the Baker Street Journal. So that was very exciting. Even though I wasn't at the dinner, there was still a little bit of Sherlockian history going on that weekend. So that was pretty cool. And actually, that's getting ahead of things. So I was gonna launch into something, and no, better just to talk about everything sequentially. And I apologize, guys. I am really tired. I got home after midnight last night, and it was, by yesterday morning, I didn't want to leave everybody, but also I was ready to come home. I was very tired. And I'm still really tired. Which reminds me, so I will probably cry at some point. And anybody who knows me well knows that I cry very easily, but only when I'm sad or upset. I swear to you, I have never done happy tears in my life. This weekend, I started doing happy tears. It's so freaking weird. I never thought I was ever going to do that. So yeah, that is probably going to happen. Everybody was just so lovely, and here it starts. Everybody was so lovely and welcoming and looking out for me. Several people were looking out for me and making sure that I was having a good time and that I was feeling okay, and it was really nice. And I got to meet some more friends in person for the first time, and I got to make some new friends. I got to properly meet Evelyn Herzog, the original adventuress of Sherlock Holmes, the woman who started Ash and is still the unprincipled adventuress, and walked around in the snow and the cold picketing the BSI dinner in 1968. And yeah, I got to meet her in person, and that was lovely. She is so lovely. And she was at Scintillation of Science in August when I gave my presentation, which she said that she really liked, and she also really liked my art. And I was just like,
oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Also got to meet Mickey Fromkin, who has also been a big part of the Adventuresses. She co-ran, I think that she co-ran the William Gillette luncheon with her wife Susan Rice for a number of years, or maybe it was the Ash Wednesday dinner, or maybe it was both. It could have been both. I'm so many details, and I'm not remembering everything. There should be a BSI there should just be a Sherlockiana Wikipedia, so that we can keep track of all the BSI and the Ash and the Sherlock Holmes Society of London and all these other groups and people, and that would be really nice. I volunteer, but somebody else is going to have to help me. So I got to meet her, and she was wonderful. And so Josh Harvey finished his SPOD video, Society for the Prevention of Oysters Destroying the Earth. That's what SPOD is. So they eat oysters. And Josh Harvey's been doing his sketches of science, where he creates theme music for lots of different Sherlockian societies. And he did one for SPOD, but he couldn't get any good pictures to go along with the video because he puts these up on YouTube. And so he asked me if I'd be willing to do illustrations. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I did the illustrations. I finished them just in time for him to be able to put the video together in time for the SPOD dinner, which happened Thursday night. That's the annual, I think, dinner meeting of the main chapter of SPOD. There are actually different chapters. The Science Society has science societies. But they always have their dinner Thursday night after the BSI distinguished lecture or distinguished speaker lecture. And so the video was done in time for that. People got to see it. Josh put it up on YouTube and Facebook, and it's like everybody loved it. They love the music and they love the art, and I'm just so happy. I really wish that Josh could have been there this weekend. He'd originally tried and that fell through, and I was very sad. Hopefully next time, and if not next time, sometime in the future. But I mean, hey, I have known about this weekend for, it's difficult to say, maybe about a decade now, and have wanted to come for a long time, and I finally made it. Just some quick background. This was also my first time flying, which was, oh my gosh, the actual flying was amazing. Navigating the airport wasn't so much fun. Just, I had no previous experience with airports.
Yeah, airports aren't fun. And I'm sure yours are worse than ours because yours had way more security.
Well, of course, the Newark airport, servicing one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country, had tighter security than the smaller airport in Grand Rapids. But yeah, the flight in was really amazing because it was early. It was in the morning, and so I got to see the skylight and as we were flying into the urban area, like my first sight of New York City was like with the skyscrapers just kind of rising out of the morning haze. It was just stunning. It was amazing. New York was a lot, though. I mean, it was incredible, and I'm so glad that I went, and I definitely want to go again. But it was a lot. And this is the off season. I don't think that I'd want to go during the summertime.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people already. I don't think that I could handle more.
Was it snowing there?
No, it started out mild and got colder. But it's like a lot of the country had a big snowstorm or at least a drop in temperature, but then the temperature like went way back up. It was really weird. But being so close to Christmas, there are still a lot of Christmas decorations. I heard that the Rockefeller Center still had the tree up, but I never managed to see it. So hopefully another year.
Yeah.
Actually, I basically didn't get to see any of like the main New York City sites. Well, except for Grand Central Station. That was amazing. Just this huge, beautiful old building, and I did go on the subway. That was really cool, actually. Also, I did a lot of walking. That's part of why I'm so tired. That's part of why I was so wiped out yesterday. I did so much dang walking, and I have been out of shape for so long. I was not ready for this, so that's part of like why I hurt all over now. I definitely have to make sure that I'm in better shape for next year because I don't want this pain. So yeah, but I mean, getting very serious for a moment, like it was very beautiful, it was very amazing. I also saw lots of homeless people, and I saw people that I assumed were high and people who were definitely high, and it was definitely I got a pretty good big city experience, pretty full big city experience. And I mean the context of this for our audience is that I am a small town Midwestern gal. So that's where I'm coming from. I lived in Chicago briefly when I was 2. So that doesn't really count as experience with the big city. So yeah. Also, of course, everything was freaking expensive.
Yeah, of course.
Except for this really cute little cafe, I guess, that was next door to our hotel that had reasonably priced food and coffee for, being what it was, a private little restaurant in New York City. But I imagine they do a brisk little business being right next to the hotel, because the hotel food and drinks are really expensive. So I don't even know where do I start? I got in Wednesday. Wednesday was my only day with wiggle room, and I did none of the touristy stuff. But you know what? That's fine. I was acclimating, right? I was finding out how the weekend worked, how New York City worked. Next time I can try for going to a Broadway show, for doing stuff. It was Wednesday. I basically just hung out, and I was really tired because I only had 1 hour of sleep that night. I had an early flight in a city that's like about an hour and a half away, and I had to make sure that I was going to make it there in time. So yeah, it started out by hanging out with Monica Schmidt, Greg Ruby, Bob Katz, who are all very lovely people who do a lot for the BSI. They're part of, the infrastructure that keeps the organization running. And we went to lunch in this cute little restaurant. I forget where exactly it was, but it was in a neighborhood, and that was fun. And it was expensive, but it was fun. And that is where I had my first Manhattan cocktail. I had my first Manhattan in Manhattan, and it was pretty darn good. Expensive, but good. And after that, actually, after that, Bob gave me my contributor copy of the Haven Horror, which is the manuscript book for the retired colorman. So a while back, a long while back, Phil Burgum from Minnesota was the editor for this book. He asked me if I would be willing to contribute an essay to it. And the funny thing is, I don't like retired colormen. It's kind of a nasty story what the guy does to his wife and her lover. It's like, I understand being upset, but my gosh, people. But I wasn't going to say no. I wasn't going to turn down that opportunity. So I wrote an article about the history of the telephone, and especially up to that point, that the time of the story, which is the late 1890s. And that ended up being a lot of fun. And a lot of people said that they really liked my essay. And it was really exciting. I didn't get a whole lot of autographs, but I got Phil signed it for me. And I got a handful of other signatures. Some people were absent and others I just didn't know by sight. But yeah, this is my first my first time getting published with a scholarly essay. So that was very exciting. And I'll show, let's see, the manuscript really quick. So there's that's like the first page. It's very cool. So and I was reading this on the flight home last night, and already, yeah, there's some really good stuff in here. So even guys, even if you don't like the story, like, get the book anyway because it's got good stuff in it. So that's my little pitch for BSI Press. That was also my first time visiting the Yale Club, which is currently where the BSI hosts its dinner and its reception luncheon the day after. And of course, I didn't go to the dinner, but I did go to the luncheon, and that was really amazing. And it's such a beautiful old building. There's a dress code. There's a dress code for entering this place, but it totally makes sense because it's this beautiful old-fashioned building, and that was really amazing. So anyway, still on Wednesday, ended up walked around a bit, and had to just, I mean, it's so frustrating that the walking hurt so much, because really it was actually amazing the stuff that I got to see, just walking around. But got back to the hotel, and I was advised to go upstairs and take a nap, and I was like, I don't know that I'll be able to, even though I'm dead tired. I think I'm starting to get my second wind. And that would be a theme of the weekend. It's like, with me trying to stay awake. It was ridiculous. I got off on the wrong foot and I never quite recovered. But when we got back to the lobby, let's see. Chris Jordan was there, Crystal Knoll. Some other Sherlockians. I'm blanking on who all was there when I actually got there, right? I just remember Chris and Crystal. But I sat with them, and more, Wednesday is the day that a lot of people get in because they want to make it for the Ash Wednesday dinner. And so what was so much fun was that Sherlockians started filtering into the hotel. And, look behind me and see this person I recognize, that person I recognize, and coming, showing up and signing in or coming down from their rooms. And we ended up with a pretty decent sized group around a couple of tables, and it was just so much fun. It was so nice. I got to meet some people in person for the first time. Maybe meet some other people, period. I don't remember. Ray Betzner gave me a hug. It was my first time meeting him. We barely interacted, so that was like really sweet. So glad you met him. There's a lot of hugging going on. People are happy to see each other again, and they're also happy to see new people, and it was just really, really lovely. And also, here's the fun thing. I found out that it was quite fun. It's recommended that you bring along business cards. This is a society that has been around for a long time, since like the time when you still like actually had calling cards, right? Like nobody actually has those anymore. But gosh, some of these got stained and I don't know what happened. It's upsetting because I worked hard on these. But I made myself business cards, and that was fun, handing them out to people and getting their business cards back. And so this is my personal one. I apologize for the lighting. It's, the afternoon sun. But on the back, it's got the podcast info on it. And actually, it was when I was making these cards that I realized, you know what? I better get a domain registered for the podcast so that I can actually put that on the business card. So that was good, and it was neat getting to hand these out. And unfortunately, the paper's kind of flimsy, but people were liking the art. It's like, yay. So then the actual Ash Wednesday dinner happened at Annie Moore's, I think. And gosh, by the time I actually ate, I was dying of hunger. It had been a long time since lunch. My lunch was late in the first place. And yeah. But it was a lot of fun. I got to meet more people. That's when I met Evie and Mickey and got to talk with them, and that was a lot of fun. And I got to meet Tamar Zephyrin in person for the first time, and she was such a sweetie. That woman is just like sunshine personified. It's just was wonderful. I got to meet Scott Monty and Burt Wolder from I Hear Sherlock Everywhere. I met them up at the bar, and I heard Scott behind me. Well, look who it is! And then when Bert came up to join him, he's like, Bert, look who it is! And Bert's like, and he took a couple of selfies of the three of us. So Bert, if you're listening, please, I very much like those pictures, especially since Tiffany Knight was photobombing us, and it was like the most perfect photobomb ever. Because here's the thing, I'm really short. Scott and Bert are tall, so like I'm sandwiched in between the two of them. So Tiffany, who was right behind us, had this perfect window to pop her head up over mine, like. It was just an amazing, absolutely amazing photo bomb, and I want those pictures. But yeah, that was really fun. Yeah, met a lot of people. And unfortunately, the people that I actually met for the first time ever, because I'd never seen them on Zoom before, those are the people that I'm struggling to put names to faces. Zoom was a huge benefit for me because I got to know a lot of people before I ever met them in person. Yeah. And that I have trouble making sure that names are attached to faces.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
It's going to be interesting to see how my memory retention goes. But I do have this big stack of cards, which is really exciting. Lots of Sherlockian cards here. Neat set. It's just so neat. It's like Pokemon cards. These were compared to Pokemon cards more than once. Like, gotta collect them all. So that was Wednesday. And I also got, oh my gosh, I got to meet Beth Gallego for the first time. I mean, in person for the first time. She and I were roomies, and we were also safety buddies for a lot of the time, so that was good. Yeah, she was so wonderful. I loved hanging out with her. I don't know if we're gonna be roomies again, but Beth, I'd totally be down for it. So that was a lot of fun. And Thursday was the ACD Society Awards and also the Wessex Cup race. So the Wessex Cup race was with these wind-up horse toys, and most of them, I think, or no, I think that all of them. I think that Peggy McFarlane actually decorated all of these. Of course, I operated mine just fine until it was time for my race, and then I think I didn't let go soon enough, so I lost on the first round. But Peggy did amazing. I asked her if she could do a rose theme, so she did amazing with that. Super cute. Ashley Polisex was unfortunate pony from Hound of the Baskervilles. And the poor pony lived up to its name. It would not wind, so she had to. All of us were also given an undecorated horse and rider, so she had to use her spare. But unfortunate pony was really neat because it was glow in the dark. And the jockey also had a sword because swords are Ashley's thing. So that was amazing. And that race was so much fun. You wouldn't think that, a wind-up toy race could be so much fun, but it was. There was drama. There were high stakes and a lot of laughter, and it was wonderful. All the credit to Ross Davies and Peggy McFarland for putting the race together. Derek Bellinger ended up being the grand champion. It was just so much fun. It was ridiculous. He had a bunch of adults racing wind-up horses. And everybody's a winner, so we all got a paper Wessex cup. But Derek got a pretty silver actual cup, little drinking cup. It was very cute. So that was a lot of fun. Although I heard that the Zoom got hacked. There was somebody posting inappropriate stuff. Yeah. And unfortunately, Mark Jones wasn't monitoring it because he was also part of the race. So I don't know. I think that they're going to have to figure out a co-host for next year to make sure that doesn't happen again. Just a lot of people had trouble logging into the Zoom in the first place, so I guess that was part of it. It was super weird.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of a Sherlockian Zoom getting hacked before, although apparently a bootmakers meeting got hacked once. It's crazy. After that, so there was no, I won't get into the details, but there was no Christopher Morley walk, which is a walk that happens Thursday morning. I had decided that I wasn't going to do the walk in the first place because I wasn't up to it. And the sheer irony is I more than walked that I would have across the weekend if I joined. But the walk always ends at McSorley's, is it Irish Pub and Ale House or something like that. It's the oldest continuously operating pub in New York City. They actually stayed open through the Prohibition era because something or other, not serving alcoholic drinks or sneaking alcoholic drinks. I forget what the deal is exactly, but they have a website so you can look them up. And it was clearly an old pub. It was, a gritty old Irish pub, literally sawdust on the floor, lots of art and old photos on the walls, and apparently they didn't even allow women in until 1970 or 71, something like that. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It's too rough and tumble. I guess. I don't know. But that was very neat. And then Nancy Holder, who is she's a professional writer. She especially particularly of horror. She's actually written for like Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics. Yeah. She's really cool. She and I are part of the Tea Brokers of Mincing Lane, which is a tea-based Sherlockian society that is honestly it's a scion society of the BSI because we applied for that, but it is also a scion society of the Johnny Watson Society because it literally started in the meeting of one of the Watson Society meetings. And she hosted a meetup in this food court space. It was a good thing that not that many people showed up because it was not a space that was friendly to a larger group. We literally tried to push tables together and were told not to. And I was like, okay, never had that happen before. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe if we ever do this again, maybe we want a more accommodating. Yeah. But yeah, walked back to the hotel from that, got lost. Literally just got turned around. Part of my problem was that like I'd recognize places, but then like I'd be going in the wrong direction. But we got back, then did the long walk. It was too long. Should have gotten a taxi to the what is it? The New York Bar Association. And which was another big, beautiful old building for the BSI Distinguished Speaker Lecture. So the distinguished speaker this year was Dr. Lakshmi Krishan, who is a medical doctor, but also a PhD. And she talked about medical diagnosis and detective fiction, and it was really fascinating. And I think that the Q&A session was even more fun. There were some funny questions, and she was also just like, wow, you weren't kidding about this crowd. These are some really amazing questions. But yeah, she was really cool. I look forward to reading the lecture. I think always gets published in the Baker Street Journal, like in the spring edition. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. Yeah. And then after that, a group of friends and I went down to, because it was pretty close by, the Red Flame Diner, which I'd heard about is being like a longtime favorite haunt of the BSI and Sherlockians, because it was actually really close to the Algonquin Hotel, which is this amazing historic old hotel that the BSI had to leave behind years ago because I think that they outgrew it or something like that. But the Algonquin is literally historic because it has a place in in New York literary history, like in the 20s and 30s. That's where lots of writers would go and hang out with each other. So it was.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it before.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that you have. I mean that a lot of famous names that I'm blanking on now. But because it was part of the literary scene, that is where Christopher Morley, the founder of the BSI, would hang out. And so that is just naturally where the dinners started taking place and where they took place for years. And we did actually walk past it. And I was like, oh, I wish I could go in. I'm not sure if we could go in. We could have gone in or not. But it was really neat. Actually, I think I'm not surprised. It looked like a fairly narrow building, unless there was more that I wasn't seeing. It looked rather narrow, so it's not a surprise that the BSI grew out of it. Currently, the main hotel that that Sherlockians stay at for the weekend, that the BSA have a room block in, is the Westin Grand Central. And that's a skyscraper of a hotel. Beth and I were on the 39th floor. The view was incredible. Guys, I swear I'll have show notes for this and I'll have pictures. I'll have lots of pictures. But yeah, it was amazing. And it's like, so the hotel that the BSI had previously been staying at was the Roosevelt. The Roosevelt was a casualty of COVID. I'm not sure what's happening to the building now. I really hope that it doesn't get torn down. And I'm really sad that I never got to see it, because it's a beautiful old-fashioned hotel.
Yeah.
The Westin is just a fancy modern hotel, and that's it. But also, I gotta say, that was the best hotel bed I have ever experienced in my life. I slept so well. It was so comfortable. I had all the blankets that I wanted, so I could just hunker down and go, oh. And yeah, like personally, I think that it's a good hotel to stick with. So I hope that we stick with it. And like other people were commenting too about the beds and about the space, because it's quite a big hotel for being in Manhattan. A lot of hotels, like the rooms are small, because it's a big city. Things get cramped. We had a nice big bedroom. So that was really nice. I didn't feel claustrophobic, which I appreciate. Anyway, Red Flame Diner. I was expecting something more, honestly. It didn't feel like anything special. It just felt like a mid-century diner. But I still got to experience it, and the food was still good. So that was Thursday night. Friday morning was the literary agents Zoom meeting, which I don't think you were able to make it to that.
No,
I didn't. No. Yeah, it's too bad, because Charles Kittinger was there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the way that the literary agents, which is another Arthur Conan Doyle society, structures their meetings is that the first half hour is about one thing, and then the second half hour is about another thing. Oh, the So the first half hour was Margie Deck, Nancy Holder, Phil Burgum. Is there anybody else? Maybe there's somebody else talking about annotating Doyle's works, because Phil works on the manuscript series. He actually does the transcription, which is pretty impressive. And then he does basic annotations on it. Well, I mean, I don't mean that to sound derogatory. They're not that it's second rate or anything. It's just, we're not talking Les Klinger whole page annotations. And Nancy and Margie were talking about annotating one of Doyle's stories, Blue John Gap, which I still don't know anything about, actually. But it is up online, I think, off of the Literary Agent's website. So I should check into that sometime. And then the second, knock something over. The second half was Ashley Polasek and Mark Jones interviewing Charles about the process of adapting Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty in Moriarty the Devil's Game. And that was a lot of fun. It was honestly, a fair bit of it was stuff that, he told us.
Yeah.
But it was still fun to see him talking about it. And there was some other stuff that came up. He confirmed that Charlotte is a stand-in for Kitty Winter. There is no confirmation yet of season 2. I think basically at this point, the best thing for fans to do is just keep showing support for the show, and hopefully Audible will renew it for a second season. Especially because Charles Augustus Milverton could be coming. It's like, come on, guys, you want that, don't you? Yeah. Moriarty versus Milverton. So that was fun. And then after that was the William Gillette luncheon. So it's held in honor of William Gillette, the first major actor to play Sherlock Holmes, and like the Basil Rathbone of his generation. If anything, Basil Rathbone is the William Gillette of his generation. That'd be more accurate. And it was fun. It was good food, good company. I got to meet, and I never got to the chance properly to fangirl to him about it, but I got to meet Lee Shackelford, who pitched and at least partially wrote the screenplays for Elementary, Dear Data, and Ship in a Bottle. Yeah, I got to meet him. We were at the same table. That was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then spoilers, Lee later that day got invested in the BSI. So that was very cool. So yeah, he's he's one of those theater people who both writes and acts. So he's played Holmes before, and he actually there was a little skit done that William Gillette had written called The Painful Predicament of Sherlock Holmes. And the funny thing about this play is that Holmes never speaks a word. He never gets the chance, because this woman comes in and she's, well, literally insane, because it ends with her being escorted out by a person in a white coat. Tiffany Knight, who is a Baker Street Babe, a member of ASH and also the BSI, and she professionally works in theater. She played the woman who comes in to 221B, and she basically, the play is her talking the whole time and just never letting Holmes get the chance to say anything, and it's hilarious. And she just she carried this. The actress who does that part has to carry it, because she's the one really doing everything. I mean, Lee Shackelford as Holmes got in some very humorous reactions, because he was just like, he's like, you can just see I'm trying to get it a word edgewise. But yeah, she was fantastic. That was so much fun. After the luncheon ended, Beth and I managed to get out with Joanna Draper Carlson and Matt Hall, who I got to meet in person for the first time. We've been Twitter mutuals. We went out to the mysterious bookshop again. Friday is when Otto Pensler, the owner of the bookshop, has an open house and opens up the basement, where there's a lot of neat stuff downstairs. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of money there. I got more things than I meant to. Actually, I literally got a couple of books that I did not mean to get. That was the tragic thing. I'm gonna flip through them and see, like, do I really want to keep these, or do I want to try to pass them along at like 221 Beacon coming up? But it's like I'd left stuff behind in a pile, like just for a minute. And then one of the employees was coming along and looking to reshelve the pile, and it was like, oh no, those are mine. Those are mine. I'll take those now, thanks. And unfortunately, the two books that I didn't want to get were still in that pile, and I forgot about that. But I got a copy of Sherlock Holmes of Baker Street, the original William S. Baring Gold biography of Sherlock Holmes. So that was exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I got other neat stuff. I'm totally blanking now. And also most of the books are still packaged up to survive the trip home safely. So yeah, so that was Mysterious Bookshop. Spent too much money, but also it was an amazing experience. I was so happy. I've been wanting to see that bookshop for years. So it was very cool. And then honestly, we did not get back really. We should have spent a little bit less time at the bookshop, because when we got back was not quite enough time for Beth and I to both get ready for our respective events. Beth was invited to the dinner, which was really awesome. I was invited to the Parade Street Irregulars dinner, which is a Solar Ponds group. Have you ever heard of Solar Ponds? I'm not surprised. So Solar Pons is a detective inspired by Sherlock Holmes. The writer was August Derleth, and he actually he wanted to write his own Sherlock Holmes stories. He literally wrote to Arthur Conan Doyle and asked, "Can I write my own Sherlock Holmes stories?" And Doyle was like, "I'm so glad you're so interested in writing. You can create your own detective." So that's what Derleth did. And Solar Pons is, basically non-derogatorily a Sherlock Holmes knockoff. But I've just never really had any interest in reading those stories. But still, Derek Bellinger invited me, and that was really sweet. So I didn't have anything to do that evening, so I went, and it was a lot of fun. It was at the Grand Central Oyster Bar restaurant. So it was in Grand Central Station or Terminal. I think it's actually Grand Central Terminal is the actual official name. Anyway, really cool restaurant. I mean, you had like the arches, like and tiles and lights. And it was so pretty. It was crazy expensive. It's like one of the cheapest dinners I could find on that menu with what I ended up having. It was still like $30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is high dining. Then it is also really noisy, so it was kind of difficult to hear the toast, which was unfortunate. Derek had asked me to give a toast, so I did to Sherlock Holmes. And I and a couple of other people I was at the end of the table. I moved to the middle of the table so that hopefully everybody this is actually the same restaurant in which Spode has their annual dinner, but they always book like a private room. And I think that's what Derek might look into in the future for the PSI dinner. But the neat thing about the dinner was that the Parade Street Irregulars are a real society, but they actually have not met in 50 years. This was their first meeting in 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was special. It felt special to be there for that. Even if it's something that's not my thing, I can appreciate the historicity of it. So there were actually a bunch of us there who weren't actually Solar Pons fans. Derek just kind of collected us. Because there wasn't a Gaslight Gala, so there wasn't a big alternative event to the BSI dinner. So there were people looking for something to do and somewhere to eat. So Anne Andriaco is the wife of Dan Andriaco, and that just strikes me as super cute. Dan and Anne. She was at our dinner, and and she got to announce to us that her husband was the new editor of the BSI Journal and the Baker Street Journal, and that was really exciting. There's a lot of applause for that. Very nice lady. I like her a lot. I got to meet Dan. I didn't get to spend so much time with him, but he seems pretty neat. So it's exciting. He's also a former newspaper editor. So as a former newspaper gal myself, I have so much respect. It's just gonna be interesting. See what happens next. I'm excited. I'm getting to watch a little piece of history happen. So after that, I walked back to the hotel and ended up running into Johanna, and we went with, see, if anybody's listening who is with me this weekend and I'm forgetting you, please understand it's nothing personal. Everything is blurring together. I forget who I was with when. That's why we're doing this right now when I'm still like really tired, because I know my memory is only going to deteriorate further from here on out. But we went down early to Rosie Dunn's, which is an Irish pub serviced by actual Irish bartenders. And so here's the thing. It's very normal for Sherlockians to congregate at a specific pub late at night during the weekend. Previously the pub of choice had been O'Lenny's, which was actually near Times Square. So O'Lenny's was the favorite late night haunt of Sherlockians for years and years, but unfortunately it was a casualty of COVID, and then Mr. O'Lenny passed away. So it's like, yeah, they're not coming back. Sadness. So I guess last year, people didn't really have a set place to go. This year, Jerry Kegley, who was actually from Los Angeles, the Curious Collectors of Baker Street, he managed to get a pub that would host us, and let's see, people were going there Wednesday night, Thursday night, smallish, crowds, especially Thursday night. Thursday night was a crowd. I was there for Thursday, but not completely unmanageable. But we knew that Friday after the dinner was going to be a bigger crowd. And the room upstairs was reserved. Well, we went early, and then they didn't, after a couple of hours and still not a whole lot of people were showing up, they didn't quite believe us that there were going to be more people coming. And we were going to need the space. So we got moved downstairs, and sure enough, a lot more people showed up, and that got really crowded. Yeah. But the upstairs had already been shut down by then. So it just, I tried to tell them there are more people coming, I swear. So it's not, I think that things have been resolved now. This was their first experience with this group, and this is this group's first experience with them, and each other has a better handle now on what things are going to be like, and I think that next year is going to be a better experience. They're going to be ready for us, and I think that by the time we were done, they really appreciated us in our business. someone who shall remain nameless, I hear, slapped down a lot of money, and it was like, here's what we're starting off with. And it's like, yeah, that is a good way to engender goodwill. So yeah, and I look forward to returning, because it was a nice pub and the people were really nice. So it was a crowded but fun experience. And oh my gosh, the class of 2023, the new the people who are newly invested into the BSI is a neat class. David Harnois got invested, and he's somebody that I've known like since I started doing Zooms, and he was very kind to me at the beginning, and unfortunately he's like one of those people that I haven't gotten to spend as much time with as I would like, but I know he's a really good guy. And so it just made me really happy that he was invested. And he actually he has a podcast called Lost Without My Boswell. It's a dramatization of the canon, and he actually plays Holmes, and he has a really good Holmes voice. And so he was invested as James Boswell, the real life person that Holmes refers to when he says that he's lost without his Boswell. So that was just so Cindy Brown was invested, and I was very happy with her. She's also somebody I've known for a long time through the Zooms. Erica Dowell was invested in, and she works at the Lilly Library. She works with the BSI archive that's hosted there. And I actually got to sit with her at, just moving ahead, I got to sit with her at the BSI luncheon reception on Saturday. And she was so nice. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun talking with her. So I'm very happy with her. Also, Adventures' Dory Nash and Roberta Pearson, who have been with Ash like for a very, very long time, got invested, and so that was really awesome. Some people that I've never heard of before, that was interesting. Yeah, it was just really neat. It was neat seeing the tweets come in from Scott Monty at the dinner. Cell phones aren't allowed, internet isn't allowed, but Scott kind of has a press pass. So so that was neat. And then Greg Ruby, who's a friend of mine, he started, he was one of the people who helped me get into the Zooms in the first place. And he's actually, he and Monica Schmidt are responsible for Zooms taking off in the first place. They helped societies all over the country and actually all over the world get set up with Zoom so that society meetings could continue, which was a huge thing because a lot of societies might have died during lockdown if that hadn't been possible. He was awarded the 2 shilling award, which is like for service above and beyond the call of duty. So, and he definitely deserved it. So I was so happy for him. That was a very big honor. So that was all the dinner news. And yeah, well, it was kind of a long wait for people to show up who'd attended the dinner, but it was a lot of fun. It was a fun evening. And Saturday morning was the merchant's room. So it's the con vendors room, right? That but yeah, so lots of people with lots of stuff, lots of books. Regina Stinson with her jewelry, and Bob Katz was there with the copies of the new manuscript book. He sold them all, and he was so happy about that, and I'm happy for him because that was like a lot of really heavy boxes he had to carry around. Yeah. From the BSI Trust, I got, you might have, you and other people might have seen similar things to this before, even if only online. That are books that have things in them. So this is A Study in Scarlet, a Sherlock Holmes murder dossier. So you pull this out, and it's like an actual, like what Holmes would have had, an actual dossier with like appropriate handwriting. I'm gonna move the keyboard here. Some business cards, a couple of business cards that I don't want to try to pull out right now. And oh my gosh, this is so cool. I haven't really had the chance to look at this much yet. So just pages of things that have been typed, of things that have been handwritten, and you flip through, and there's just all this stuff inside that would be like if you actually had a file on A Study in Scar. Oh yeah, there's like a newspaper page in here. But if Sherlock Holmes had a file on the murders in A Study in Scarlet, like this is what it could have looked like. And there was this, and then there was also one for Sign of the Four. Oh, which I think hasn't actually been opened. There's a tear, but this is still in the original wrapping. So if you buy something from the BSI Trust, then things are donated to the trust so that they can be sold to fund the trust, which it looks after the history of the BSI. So the cardboard is damaged, though, unfortunately. So here's the dossier for Sign of the Four. Notes and documents belonging to Holmes's handling of the problem of the Sholtos. John H. Watson, 1888. So Miss Mary Morstan to Mrs. Cecil Forrester. What's in here? Does this become an unboxing video? Okay, I gotta make sure. That was my spot here. Oh, not to. It was care of. So the anonymous note that Thaddeus Sholto wrote to Mary Morstan, the note that Mary brought to Holmes. So that's here in an envelope attached to the book. So this is so cool. I've heard of these things and I never thought I'd get to see them, you know? Yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at how cool this is.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
It's so cool. This is like a diagram of the Sholto house. Oh, the wedding invitation. Mrs. Cecil Forrester requests the honor of Mr. Sherlock Holmes's presence at the wedding of Miss Mary Morstan and Dr. John Watson at St. Peter's Church, Camberwell, on Saturday, 27th October, 1888. That's so cool. Oh, wow. Wait, one of the, okay, how do you, I'm not gonna try to mess with this stuff right now, but there's actual stuff in here. This is crazy. This is so neat. Okay, that was an incredible deal for what I spent on it, which for the money that I spent on these, which was not much. It wasn't probably at all what they're actually worth. Okay, come on. Fit. There we go. There you go. The cardboard for this is so warped. It was difficult to get the dossier back in. So that's something. And then also renowned comic book artist Frank Cho is a member of the Baker Street Irregulars. And he actually recently did the illustrations for Bonnie McBird's newest book, which is A Christmas Story. What child is this? That's Holmes and Watson in the back.
Oh,
so very, yeah, very pretty art. Where's like a good, oh yeah, this is a good like spread illustration.
Yeah,
it's very cool. So he has previously drawn some of the programs, illustrated some of the programs for the BSI dinner. This year, oh, this one has a stain on it. That's too bad. This year, he drew Mycroft. So this is part of actually what I guess Bob was selling some extra programs. So I was like, yes, please and thank you. So here's the inside, another illustration, and then on the back is the Musgrave Ritual with, I gotta assume it's the butler Brunton and the maid Rachel Howells. So it's very cool. And I got Frank Cho to sign them. So, and speaking of something else that was being sold. Let's see if I can get this off. Please get this off. Or something that had been done a while back. I need a frame for this. Was Frank Cho illustrating do you know about the story how Watson learned the trick?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the silly little story that Doyle wrote to actually be put inside a dollhouse, inside the Queen's dollhouse, I think. So it was printed out on an 11x7 sheet of paper because it is that short. And Frank Cho illustrated it.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's one. It's so hard trying to do this. Watson and Holmes. We're just gonna stick with that. That's about the best I can do. So yeah, I need to get a frame for this.
Yeah, that'll look great on the wall.
Yeah. I might have to move the Star Wars poster. I'm just gonna set that right there. It's gonna be fine. So that, and there goes the canister that came in. But the canister wasn't anywhere near where the art was, so that's good. Okay, so here's the big reveal. This is the thing that I told you I was gonna save for the recording.
Oh wow! I didn't even know you got figures of him in those costumes.
I knew that.
That's so cool.
I only knew that these existed. Well, so these are from the late 90s.
Yeah.
I only knew that these existed because of some stories that I'd heard about like some Baker Street Babes stories that I'd heard. And I think these have never been unboxed. Should I do that right now? Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, here's the tape. These really have never been unboxed. And it was a lot. It was really more than I wanted to spend in the entire room. But I was like, you know what? If I walked away from these, I'd be kicking myself.
Yeah.
You cannot find these. The people who bought them hold on to them, you know? So, okay. Oh, this is cute. This just becomes a little handle for you to pull out. Come on. No. The box is a little warped.
Well, I mean, if it's from the late 90s, that's not surprising.
Yeah. This is really old. No.
Now you need Moriarty to go with you.
I don't think that they have Moriarty. On the back, they show Picard. They show Christine Chapel. And, a Kirk that really doesn't look a whole lot like Kirk to me. And also 7 of 9. There we go. Ages 4 and up. I don't know, there's some little parts here. I wouldn't exactly give this to a 4-year-old.
I'm not sure a 4-year-old would be that into it anyway.
Oh, I think that it's a doll. 4-year-olds like dolls, but small parts is still kind of iffy. Okay, there it came out the bottom. Oh, look at him.
Oh, he's got the violin too.
Where the deer stalker fell off him. So interestingly, his hands don't move, but his arms are reasonably posable. I think that people make these things a little more secure than they have to be.
Yeah.
It's like, and I hate zip ties. They're always so difficult to cut. And this zip tie is old enough to drink. Come on. There we go. Oh, his feet at the bottom. All right, Mr. Chuck Kovacic, I hope that you're watching this. I am at least unboxing them. He's the guy that I bought these from. He actually has like a super faithful version of like the sitting room of 221 bead in his house. That's like what some people do that, and he's got like one of the best ones. Very nice guy, very bombastic and very funny. He gave a toast at Lost in New York, and it was hilarious. It was improv, and it was pretty. Okay, so his pants are actually like a little stained or something, or just at least a little discolored. Let's see, the boots do not come off. The outfit isn't supposed to come off. So these are not dolls that you could fully play with. But here's the stand, I think. Is this a stand? I thought it was. Maybe it's not. Let's see. Uh, Oh, no, it is. There's a little, there's one peg, and that was what was throwing me off. But still, you attach the foot to the peg, and you know what? I'm not gonna try to get out the violin, the pipe, and the magnifying lens right now. That's just a little too much. Also, that took so long. I'm not gonna try to. This episode is already running so long anyway. Jordy's gonna have to wait for an off the air unboxing. But
the little objects fit in his hands.
What?
Can he hold like the magnifying glass in his hand?
He should be able to. It looks like it. Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh. There was originally an elastic strap here to hold the deer stalker on.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of disintegrated.
Oh.
So I'm just kind of like peeling what's left of it off of his skin. Oh, but look at him.
The detail looks pretty good on his face.
Yeah, it does. It looks better than some of the other dolls on the backs of these boxes. That's reasonably posable. Oh, he's so cute. I wish I could mimic his bad English accent, but I'm not going to try. Come, Watson, the game's afoot. Oh, poor Dirty. You're going to have to wait. I know. Interestingly, it looks like Jordy doesn't have his bowler hat, and he just has his writing notebook. So I'll hold him up close. I'm not seeing a hat that like fell in here like the deer stalker did in Data's box. So yeah, that was the big purchase of the weekend. I will just set these aside here. So yeah, there's more stuff, but those were the big ones. So after the merchant's room was the BSI reception luncheon. Basically, that luncheon, the reception in 1991 was where women were first invested in the BSI rather than at the dinner. Because it was an event that women could attend, and that way it maintained the surprise. So that was held in the Yale Club. It was beautiful. The food was amazing, which for what it costed better.
Yeah.
But it was, that was a room, that was a place that you wanted to be dressed up in. Just like an old-fashioned ballroom. Actually, I think it literally is a ballroom, technically. So very beautiful. And there was an auction to raise money for the Dr. John H. Watson Fund, which I should leave it to people who really need it. But the idea is that you write to the fund, and then it's considered, if your need is considered to be great, then you will get like a check to help you attend the weekend. That's what it's there for. It's kind of like a grant, but to help people come to the weekend. So that auction, that was a lot of money being thrown around. The one thing that I really would have liked was it was it was a chance to be featured as a character in Bonnie McBird's next Sherlock Holmes story. But it also included a copy of What Child Is This? With on this front page, an original drawing by Frank Cho. Like not in the book. He literally drew it the night before in the book. So it's a portrait of Holmes that does not exist anywhere else. So naturally, that's because of the drawing. That started at expensive. Bidding started at $250, and I was like, well, that's already too rich for me. And that went up to like 3,000, I think.
Wow.
Yes, that is the kind of money we're talking about here. So yeah, so after the dinner, I went to a little private shindig, and that was fun. And then after that was Lost in New York with a bunch of Sherlockians. It's an event that Jerry Kegley and his wife Chris have been running for like 20 years now, and that was so much fun. I don't have the program on me at the moment, of course, but out of everything that weekend, that was something that felt like it didn't exactly feel like 221 BCon, but it was a similar vibe. And of course, a lot of 221 BCon people were there. And it was just a fun evening. The dinner was good, although late. It was late. Once again, like I was starving by the time the food got to us. There were drawings for prizes. I think that my table was the only table in which nobody won anything. It was ridiculous. Steve Mason was like, I'm moving to another table. Y'all are a bunch of losers. It was funny. But yeah, every time we're like, nope. It's just a bunch of little fun stuff. But Beth won a notepad, but she was at another table, so that doesn't count. But yeah, it was a fun time. There were several toasts. As I said, Chuck Kovacic delivered one, which was actually the last one. Jerry delivered one to Sherlockians who are no longer with us, but who had been part of the Lost in New York family, which was started because there are so many private parties during the BSI weekend. Lost in New York was started as an event on Saturday night to give people something to do, one last thing to be able to attend if they weren't invited to something else. So that was really nice and sweet. And Jerry had asked me to give a toast to Sherlock Holmes. So I asked him, like, Derek Bellinger also asked me to do like the same thing. Is it okay if I reuse that toast? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't. So yeah, both times I had to read it off of my phone because I didn't have enough time to memorize it. But oh my gosh, just the response that I got from giving the toast that night was amazing. There was a fair amount of laughter and some reactions that I was hoping for, because I gave a shout out to Helen Elizabeth Wilson as being like the original Sherlockian essay writer, and a college girl at the time when she did it. So like, college girls have always been obsessed with Sherlock Holmes. So that it was really fun. I don't think that anybody recorded it, but I wish that it could have been recorded just for like the audience reaction. But that was that's a really nice memory. And then after the dinner had shut down and people were leaving, it had kind of been an open question whether or not we were going to stay put at the Playwright, which was the club where this was taking place, which was a very nice place, by the way, or whether we were going to go back to Rosie Dunn's, and we decided to return. It was decided that we would return to Rosie's, and the bartender actually let us in. He was like, "Hey, we weren't sure if you guys are gonna show up again or not." Good service. Very good service. They get 5 stars. Then I actually ended up calling it a night earlier than I had previously, and got to walk back with David Harnois, which was nice because like I said, I like never get to spend that much time with him, so that was nice. We just walked and talked, and yeah, I'm just so happy for him being invested. It made me so happy. So then yeah, Sunday morning kicked off with the Ash Brunch, which oftentimes it's either going to be Lost in New York or the Ash Brunch. That's like the last event of the weekend for people. If they're leaving early on Sunday or if they have other plans, then it'll be Lost in New York. If they're like me and leaving a little bit later on Sunday or Monday, then it's going to be the Ash Brunch. It was neat. It was in this place called the Long Room, and it was decorated based on the long room of the library in Trinity College in Dublin. So, which is a very famous library. Probably you've seen pictures of it online. Like if I showed anybody a picture of that library, almost certainly they'd recognize it. It's beautiful. And so the restaurant was decorated along that theme. So that was very neat. And it was just a really fun last event. I finally got to see Curtis Armstrong again, and that was fun. He's such a fun guy to hang out with. He and Ashley Polisek and Rob Nunn and I were crammed in at this little table together. It's like, oh yeah, so this is why it only had 3 chairs previously. Adding 4 chairs was a little much. You can only fit so many plates on this tiny table, you know. But it was a lot of fun. The food was really good. Oh, the food was really good. And the company was excellent. And my last drink in New York was an espresso martini. It was amazing. It tasted equally of coffee and alcohol, and so I have no idea what it actually does to your body, because it seems like those 2 things are going to cancel each other out. I didn't really feel, maybe the caffeine didn't entirely cancel out the alcohol in the end, but that was a really good drink. And yeah, I just got to hang out with a bunch of people one last time, so that was really nice. And then I had to head back to the hotel. Most of my stuff was already packed because I wanted to make sure that my suitcase would actually close. That was a near thing. It did not want to close. And I brought too much stuff with me in the first place. So again, lesson learned. Gonna do better next year. But yeah, got to the airport in good time, had dinner. The flight back home was good. The one hitch twice. I almost lost my my Irish cap, the wool one that I wear sometimes. I almost lost. I dropped it. Well, it was in my coat pocket. It was sticking out of my coat pocket. So next year I have to do something better. It fell out during when I was in security, and then it fell out on the plane when we were getting off.
Oh.
I didn't realize it until I was at the gate, so outside the plane. And then the stewardess comes out and she's like, did you forget something? And I'm like, yeah, my hat is still on the plane. It must have fallen somewhere. So she went back, and the other steward found it and brought it back with him. Just like, thank you so much. I would have really, really hated myself if I'd lost that.
Yeah.
I've already lost an Irish cap once before, and that one was a gift from a friend, so I still feel really bad about that. I would have been really angry if I managed to lose a nice, genuine Irish wool cap twice. But anyway, that was the weekend for me. And that makes this a super long episode, and I apologize to you, and I apologize to the audience. And I have talked a whole lot, which is never a good thing. But yeah, I just really wanted to share that with you. I want to share that with our audience, and because I mean, recap episodes are really important to me. When the Baker Street Babes would do recap episodes, or episodes that were done live in certain places, that made me want to go. So
yeah, I mean, hearing about it makes me want to go.
Yeah. So it's like, this is how you get people hooked on stuff. This is how you make them determined to make it someday. And this is how you keep the fandom alive. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that the audience has enjoyed it. What's our next episode going to be about? Probably it's going to be our 221 Becon episode. So at Con, we will be doing a technically assisted episode. We'll be doing the panel that I suggested about inserting Moriarty into canon stories. And Dixie unfortunately won't be able to be with us, so she'll be zooming in from South Africa.
Hopefully next year.
I still get a present for you. I'm hesitant to send it through the mail because I hear that takes forever.
Yeah, there's no guarantee it'll actually arrive.
Yeah, so I'm hanging on to that until we actually see each other. Oh. But yeah, so interviewing Crystal Knoll and Heather Holloway will most likely be the next episode that we do. That might not air until February. Probably won't at this point. Almost certainly won't. But yeah, I mean, I hope that you guys listening, that you're not tired of listening to me, especially. I hope that you're enjoying this podcast, which actually reminds me, Dixie, Steve Doyle, who's the publisher for the Baker Street Journal, and he runs his own podcast, Fortnightly Dispatch on YouTube, which is why I felt that we could get away with doing a YouTube podcast, actually. He actually came up to me and asked how the podcast was going and if we were going to keep going with it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. And he's like, good, I enjoy listening to it. And I was just like, so thank you, Steve Doyle. Much appreciated. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this recap from somebody who's a newbie to the weekend. And thank you all. Always thank you all for listening and watching, however you consume this podcast. Thank you for doing it. Once again, we love to hear from you guys. If you want to save it for in person, that's fine. I'll be at 221 BCon next. So, come say hi. Don't be shy. Love to hear from you. But also, we have an email. We still have a Twitter. And we also have a Facebook.
And you can also write your thoughts in the comments on YouTube.
Exactly. So, yeah, any final thoughts?
Just that it sounds amazing. So hopefully one day, not only will I actually be at 221 BCon, but maybe I'll be at BSI as well.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd love for you to get that experience. Just be aware, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, I totally understand why some introverts have a hard time handling it. Me, I could just handle it. So there is that. But such a good time. So yes, I'd love to be able to share this with you. Absolutely. And I am so grateful for everybody who spent time with me this past weekend, who helped me out and just kind of looked after me, made sure that I was having a good time. I just appreciate each and every one of you, and I love you guys lots, and thank you. And we should close this now before I really start crying. So thank you guys for watching, for listening, whatever, and we will see you hopefully soon. So bye.
Bye.
Dynamics of a Podcast was created by Madeline Quiñones, with sound design and editing by Dixie Parkinson, and music by Joshua Harvey. We do this podcast purely for the fun of the thing. Thank you for listening, and please join us next time.